On May 1, 2025, after spending more than 20 years on death row, Jeffrey Glenn Hutchinson was executed by lethal injection in Florida. His crimes were as brutal as they were senseless, leaving a trail of devastation that still lingers in the hearts of many. In this video, we uncover the chilling events that led to his execution, his final moments, and the horrifying night that shattered an entire family. To understand how Jeffrey Hutchinson ended up on death row, we need to go back to a quiet suburban neighborhood in Crestview, Florida, on the night of September 11, 1998, a night when 4 lives were wiped out in an instant. Inside a small home, a mother and her 3 children were executed, shot in the head, one by one. There was no mercy, no chance to run, no warning. The killer? Not a stranger, not a masked intruder, but someone they trusted, someone who lived with them, someone they considered family, Jeffrey Hutchinson. Jeffrey was a former Army Ranger, a veteran who had once served during the Gulf War. At the time of the murders, he was living with his girlfriend, Renee Fleherty, and her 3 children, Jeffrey Jr., Amanda and Logan. From the outside, everything seemed normal. The relationship between Renee and Jeffrey looked solid. He played with the kids, helped raise them, acted like a father figure. But something inside Jeffrey was broken, something he hid from everyone. That evening, around 7 p.m., Renee called a friend. The conversation was casual. She sounded upbeat. Jeffrey could even be heard in the background, laughing. There were no signs of trouble. But by 7:30 p.m., everything changed. Renee made another call. This time, her voice was shaken. "We fought," she said. She told her friend that it had gotten bad. Jeffrey had packed a bag, grabbed his guns, and stormed out of the house. Renee thought it was over. She believed the worst had passed. She was wrong. Instead of cooling off, Jeffrey went to a nearby bar. He drank heavily, told the bartender, who knew them both, that Renee was upset, and he just needed time to clear his head. But Jeffrey wasn't calming down. He was brooding, plotting. With a Mossberg 12-gauge shotgun by his side, he got back in his truck, drove home, and walked through the front door with murder in his heart. He shot Renee first, a blast to the head. Then he hunted down the children. Jeffrey Jr., the oldest, was shot in the chest. But he didn't die immediately. So Jeffrey shot him again, this time in the head. Amanda and Logan were each killed with a single shotgun blast. When the horror was over, Jeffrey picked up the phone and called 911. His voice was calm, almost casual. "I just shot my family." When police arrived, they found him sitting in the garage with the phone still in his hand. He didn't run. He didn't resist. He simply stood up and surrendered. Inside the house, officers found a scene of devastation. Renee and her youngest 2, Amanda and Logan, were together in the bedroom. Jeffrey Jr.'s body lay alone in the living room. At first, Hutchinson claimed 2 masked intruders had broken in and killed everyone. But investigators quickly saw through the lie. There were no signs of forced entry. Gunshot residue was on Jeffrey's hands. Shotgun shells were found on the kitchen counter. And biological tissue from Jeffrey Jr. was discovered on Jeffrey Hutchinson's pant leg. The evidence was clear. No one else had committed this crime. So who was Jeffrey Hutchinson? Born November 6, 1962, in Florida, he grew up in a large family. Diagnosed with ADHD as a child, he still managed a fairly normal upbringing. After high school, he worked a variety of jobs, including mechanic, security guard, and eventually joined the military. Jeffrey trained as a paratrooper, then became an Army Ranger, serving in Operation Desert Storm during the Gulf War. But when he returned home, he wasn't the same. He was angry, withdrawn, unable to sleep. When sleep wouldn't come, he drank. He was honorably discharged, but the war never really left him. His first marriage ended in divorce. So did his second. He struggled to find stability until he met Renee Fleherty. Renee was a 32-year-old single mother, doing her best to build a stable life for her kids. She worked hard, stayed focused. After dating for a while, they moved together from Washington to Florida. For over a year, life seemed good. But the demons inside Jeffrey kept growing louder. After the murders, Jeffrey gave different versions of what happened. At one point, he claimed he was too drunk to remember anything. Later, he admitted to killing them, but said it was a crime of passion. In 2001, his trial began. His defense team brought in mental health experts who claimed Jeffrey was bipolar, that he suffered from Gulf War illness, and that his mind wasn't right. They argued he wasn't fully in control when he pulled the trigger. But the jury didn't believe it. Neither did the judge. They convicted him of all 4 murders. At sentencing, the judge gave him life in prison for killing Renee, citing his military service and clean record as slight mitigating factors. But for the murders of the children, the court had no mercy. He received 3 death sentences. Over the next 20 years, Jeffrey appealed his case again and again. He claimed the trial was unfair, that the death penalty was unjust, that his mental health issues were never fully considered. But each appeal was denied. The court stood firm. What he did to those children was beyond forgiveness. On May 1, 2025, the state carried out the sentence. That morning, Jeffrey was served his final meal: salmon, mahi-mahi, asparagus, a baked potato, and iced tea. He had 3 visitors, including his sister and a spiritual advisor. That evening, he was escorted into the death chamber at Florida State Prison, where he was strapped to the gurney. When asked for final words, he offered none. But witnesses saw his lips moving silently. Some believe he was whispering a prayer. The lethal injection process began. His legs trembled. His body shook slightly. For several minutes, his muscles spasmed before he finally went still. At 8:15 p.m., he was pronounced dead. Jeffrey Glenn Hutchinson was 62 years old. What happened on that night in 1998 was not just a murder, it was a massacre. A mother and her 3 innocent children were stolen from the world by someone they loved and trusted. No explanation will ever make sense of that kind of betrayal. Let this story be a sobering reminder: the hidden battles within a person can turn deadly when ignored. And the ones who suffer are often those closest, those most vulnerable, and those least deserving. Subscribe for more true crime documentaries that uncover the darkest corners of the human mind. Like, comment, and share if the story moved you. And always remember, the truth deserves to be told.